Hi, and welcome to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the final edition of Plastic Models for Beginners, building from a photograph. As you saw from the opening photos of this video, I used the Tamiya M10 tank destroyer mid-production 2016 boxing, and it's a very nice kit, went together really well. Really enjoyed building it. You also saw the photograph that I used as a basis for this build, which is an M10 tank destroyer of the 808th Tank Destroyer Battalion, which supported the 417th Infantry Regiment near the end of World War II. 417th being the unit that my grandfather was in during his World War II service. So before I actually reveal the kit, I want to send out a special thanks to a really nice guy, Harold. Some of you might know him as 13 Bravo. He kindly donated a set of tracks for this build. I had mentioned that I was looking for some tracks because the kit tracks are the plain rubber block type, and the vehicle in photograph is using the rubber chevron type, the T48s, and I needed a set of those, and he had a set of Dragon DS tracks that he wasn't using, and I myself don't have any problem with using either vinyl or DS tracks for Sherman based vehicles because of the live track situation where the track is constantly under tension. Vinyl or rubber tracks are fine because you don't have to worry about incorporating any sag, and generally the detail is really good, and that was the case with the DS tracks. So he donated those. Unfortunately, from sitting in the drawer for so long, I think, and going from hot to cold in this room, I think that might have something to do with it. But I've heard other people have the same problem with the DS tracks. When I went to actually get them out to paint them and get them ready to put on the model, they were covered in this really thick oily substance, like something had leached out of the plastic or the flexible styrene that they make those out of. So I cleaned them with some warm water, cleaned them really well, and set them aside to dry. And then when I went to use the tracks and start to I was going to put them together so I could paint them, they fell apart. Many of the joints where the tracks came together, they just broke. So I don't know what the deal was, and it was a real shame. But again, Harold, if you're watching this, I do thank you for contributing those, and I was really thankful for that, and it was a great gesture. But not only did he send that, but he also sent this really nice, and I mentioned this early on, but he sent this really nice Squadron Signal M10 Tank Destroyer reference book. And as I mentioned before, I have quite a few of this series of books, and they're really good. But it gave me a really good photograph, a couple of good photographs of the scratch-built stowage rack that were on some of the M10 tank destroyers. So again, he just, he sends this to me. Expect nothing in return. He just says, hey, here you go. It's a great reference book. Hope you enjoy it. And again, Harold, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Huge gesture. I really appreciate it. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the finished product. All right, so here it is in an approximation of the angle of the vehicle in the photograph. Let's put that right back there like that. So there it is. I have to say I really enjoyed this kit. Ran into a lot of stumbling blocks. I should have done a little pre-planning better, and I think that the actual building for beginners kind of got kind of suffered because of that. But hopefully the stuff that I did and I talked about was helpful for anybody who decides they want to build a kit from a photograph. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, like I would have been way more prepared with my extra stuff instead of getting cracking on it and then having a huge time span between getting the extra parts I needed and getting the tracks, you know, since the other ones didn't work out and all that kind of stuff. But for good or ill, here it is. And, you know, it turned out pretty good as far as imitating the photograph. It's a little, I mean, there's obviously little bits of difference because of, you know, limitations in figures. For instance, there's supposed to be 2 figures on the front, as you saw in the photograph at the beginning. But I don't have any seated figures at all. I thought I did, but I don't. And so at some point I probably need to get some and put on there, but, you know, we'll see. As far as replicating the photograph, you know, I installed the hedgerow device, and it was covered in sandbags and had a torn piece of bush stuck on one side for some crazy reason. So I put that on there. In the photograph, there are 3 tarps, some haversack type things, duffel bag maybe. I tried to replicate that on here as well. And I talk about all the things that I did as far as trying to make this stuff as realistic as possible, to get realistic sag and tie down points and all that. So I won't go over it again here, but it, you know, approximates pretty good, as do the stuff in the back. I couldn't really tell what this was back here, so I just put another fuel can right back here. As you can see here, these are German jerry cans, so that's what I put here. These might even be German jerry cans here, but I put US there instead to, you know, just give it a mix. Did these in the German yellow and then these in the US olive drab. And then my figures don't match exactly either, but again, you know, I had to scratch build some figures from what I had from the kid figures. So I scratched, you know, and I talk about it in my earlier videos, but I scratch built this guy to replace him. This guy back here, I actually put him over here just because of space constraints here. And then this guy in the back, he's kind of crouched over like he's, you know, doing something, but I didn't have any figures that were tall, that were short enough that I could rest his hand on the top of this counterweight. So, you know, with a different figure. So then on the other side of the vehicle, I had to just kind of guesstimate what would be on there and just kind of, you know, put some stuff on there. I put some more packs and bags, another tarp rolled up, put another tarp on the back here. Then on the back, the detail here, I've got these 2 boxes, sea ration boxes, another jerry can, wooden crate, some ammo boxes. Then you can see these cans here. And then, as in the photograph, there is a 50 caliber machine gun tripod slung on the side, so I did that. You know, I have it hanging by some cable or rope or something. And so there you have it. That is the kit. Now, as you can see, these in my dim light, let's see if I can tilt it back so you can see a little bit. The tracks, you can kind of see it right here, are kind of shiny, and I did that for a reason, because in the photograph it looks like the vehicle is crossing a river or stream that's flowing across a really hard, it's like really super hard packed dirt, or it is a road, because it's not sunk in to the ground under the water at all, and the tracks are really clean compared to a vehicle that was going through like a muddy stream crossing. So I just went under the assumption that it was through shallow water, and it basically, you know, there wasn't any. And on the front of the tracks, you can see that there's no mud caked in there. There's just a little bit of discoloration here, which once I get my supply order in, I'll do that a little bit on the sides. But other than that, it's the running gear is really relatively clean. Just old dirt, dust, mud probably on the sides, and that's what I tried to replicate there. So that's why it is not dull and it is shiny. It's because of fresh water being slung on that. So that was the reasoning for that. So anyway, at long last, since I started this series, I posted the first video of this series on June 29th of 2017. So it's taken quite a while to get to it, or to get it finished. Hit kind of a slump there, and then got recharged and really plowed on here in the last few weeks and got it done. So anyway, that is the M10 Tank Destroyer by Tamiya for plastic models for beginners, building from a photograph. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to combine all of the videos from the series into a playlist. That way, if anybody wants to kind of see it, it'll all be lumped together and you won't have to search through all my videos to find it. So anyway, that's it. I would appreciate any questions or comments down below. As always, any suggestions, any critiques, anything like that, just put them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So until the next project, thanks for joining me here on Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will see you all later.